TikTok's secret sauce has always been my biggest problem with it. There's been a lot of discussion about what sets TikTok apart from other creator-driven platforms in the wake of its ban in the US, but not once have I seen anyone give what I believe to be the correct answer to that question. Some people say it's the in-app video editor, which is partially correct. TikTok is the best short-form video-first platform since Vine. Combined with the good luck of gaining traction during a pandemic that made everyone really bored, this served as rocket fuel. However, I think the folks who make this claim forget how long the in-app editor really truly sucked. As far as I can tell, the app exploded despite the in-app editing abilities, not because of them. As of right now, TikTok is the easiest app to use in creating the content you post, but that has happened after the fact, and it still kind of sucks in my opinion. Others say it's the algorithm that sets TikTok apart, and this explanation is closer, but still not quite right. It's really hard to differentiate TikTok's algorithm from Reels or Shorts. If I scroll through all three recommendation feeds, they're all very similar in how often they serve up something interesting to me. That's not it. The difference is how often TikTok serves something novel, something you haven't seen before. What actually sets TikTok apart is the volume of content, and the question everyone seems to be failing to ask is how TikTok gets all that content. What TikTok had that its competitors lacked, especially at the beginning, was a seemingly endless number of users that could quickly become followers. It has been unrivaled in its capacity to give creators an audience, which encouraged way more people to create content. Whereas the other apps seemed impossible to break through on, TikTok was a place where new creators could actually grow. The problem with this, and the problem I've had with TikTok ever since my own audience began to grow, is the question of the authenticity of those followers. Admittedly, creators are incentivized financially and otherwise not to question the authenticity of their followers, but it's always felt fishy to me. From the beginning, I've had conversations with my wife and on this app about how the question was never whether some of my followers were fake, it was how many of them are fake. This is a huge problem for me. It's a problem I have with social media platforms in general, to be clear, but it's one that I have with TikTok in particular because our legislators could, in theory, get their act together and make domestic social media platforms authenticate their user bases and subject them to audit. The same isn't true about TikTok. Furthermore, I think it's entirely reasonable to believe that if a domestic platform was significantly cooking their user counts, it's way more likely to come out, and those platforms would be subject to litigation. The same isn't true about TikTok. Now, it should be obvious by the fact that the places where this video is published includes TikTok means that I don't really know what to do about any of this. However, I do think it's worth asking the question, what does it mean if TikTok's secret sauce is fake? And what do we do with that question when TikTok has provided all the necessary incentives to ensure that the creators, the people who actually produce the content that makes TikTok marketable and profitable, never create a serious demand for authenticated users? What has been made very clear to those who still weren't convinced is that TikTok is no less willing, possibly even more willing than its peers to take part in crony capitalism, since that has brought it to its current form as a, for all intents and purposes, subsidiary of the MAGA political project. TikTok deserves much more suspicion and scrutiny than we've been giving it. Not only should we, as creators and users, be demanding a better alternative, we should not hesitate to move should one arise, because in the meantime, we're tilling radioactive soil.